to Madam Dolly, our marine insurance lecturer. So before I start with my presentation, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Haikal Hidayat bin Rohailan, and my group members consist of Fikri Aiman, Hairizal Hafizi and Danish Irfan. So our presentation is about Singapore Port and the movie Captain Phillips. We have watched the documentary of Singapore Port. Singapore has topped the 2019 Xinhua Baltic International Shipping Centre Development Index, which ranked the city that offer port and shipping business service for the 6th consecutive years. The Port of Singapore refers to the collective facility and terminals that perform the maritime trade. It also handles harbour and shipping. We have watched the movie Captain Phillips also. It is a 2013 American biographical drama thriller film. The film is a true story of the 2009 Mars Alabama hijacking. It is an incident during which Captain Phillips was hijacked by a Somali pirate. The documentary and movie is important to us. We will discuss on the undesirable events, causes and effect on Singapore Port and Captain Phillips.
This table shows Singapore Port risk identification. The table consists risk, frequency and severity. First, fire at port. Fire at port is undesirable event which is a rare occurrence and able to affect big and loss damages. The frequency of the risk is low and the severity is high. Next, we proceed to the climate change risk. Climate change risk is a natural event which is unable to control that has potential to cause loss and damages. The frequency of the risk is low and the severity is high. The third risk is explosive item. Explosive item can cause explosion, which is expected to cause loss and bodily injury. The frequency of the risk is low and the severity is high. Next, we proceed to operation risk, which is port traffic system, operator error at the port, error in handling and storage. For the risk operation, the frequency of the risk is low and the severity is high. Lastly, we proceed to the change of rule regulation. D is political risk categorization. The frequency of the risk is low and the severity is high. This slide shows Captain Phillips risk identifications. Mostly of the risks involving pirates' invasions on the vessels. For example, pirate invasions, lost life and injuries which caused by the pirates, bad communication between pirates and hostage, and run out of fuel and diesel due to pirates' invasions. For these situations, the risk able to cause loss, damages, and bodily injury. The frequency is low and the severity is high.
From this survey, we have categorized undesirable events into several categories. Firstly is financial. Financial risk means that an investment or company enterprise will lose capital. Credit risk, liquidity risk, and operating risk are three of the most prevalent and distinct financial risks. It is a kind of risk that could lead to the loss of resources for stakeholders. Next is operations. This risk is about how something is performed in an enterprise and not necessarily what is created or inherent in a market. These traits are also related to active choices regarding the roles and goals of the enterprise. The hazards are not guaranteed to result in loss or lower overall cost or based on separate internal management decisions, higher or lower overall cost than human resources. These departments often concentrate on developing capabilities and establishing organizations and transition strategies for current management team. Today, however, The essences of employment and human resources divisions are much more critical of organizations' growth and service technology, social media, and the rise of freelance economies. Besides, technology is also a common risk. The ability for any technical failure to disrupt a company is technology danger or information technology risk. Companies face a variety of technical threats, including accidents concerning network security, cyber attacks, password stealing, and infrastructure disruptions. Each type of technical risk may contribute to economic, reputational, regulatory, and policy risk. As such, a successful risk management application approach is important to predict future issues. Moreover, political risk is the kind of risk that companies, businesses, and policymakers will face that substantially influences political decisions, activities, and circumstances on the market players' performance or the expected value of a given economic activity. Last but not least, safety and machineries risk. Any worker with a high or low chance of a particular danger can rely on a health and safety concern. Risks are all things such as chemicals, electrical, radiation, biological risk, employees' actions, and other variables that can harm the workplace. Often, employees perform risk analysis in a single website to assess future risks.
So for the first risk assessment is Singapore Port. So under this risk assessment, I will explain each of the risks that happen at Singapore Port, their causes, and also their effects. So for the first risk is fire at port. The causes might be short-circuiting, self-fermentation of cargo, and also in the event of strike and riot. The effects are effect on electrical supply to the port. It also may damage to the other cargoes, and also it may damage extended to affect the warehouse. The second risk is port traffic system. The causes might come from peak time or many ships arrive at the same time. The effects might be groundings, contacts, and also can cause collision. The third risk is climate change. The causes is maybe because of deforestation, or maybe it comes from burning fossil fuels. The effects are extreme weather events and polar ice melting that will affect all the waterborne sectors. As for the fourth risk is explosive items. The causes might be did not have proper housekeeping, or also existence of gunfire and oil container. The effects can lead to death, can cause injuries, and also can give damages to the body of the ship. The fifth risk is operator error at the port. The causes might be come from poor communication between workers, cannot handle machinery safely and effectively, and low-skilled workers. The effects can cause accidents for not wearing appropriate safety gears, and also machine multifunction because not properly maintained. The sixth risk is engine failure. The cause might come from the engine did not have proper maintenance, and maybe there is no regular inspection. The effects are engine may blow up and give major damage to the ship, and the engine can broken and overheat. The seventh risk is shortage of network. The cause is only because of there is no network, but the effects are huge, which is there will be a miscommunication and it will slow down the activity at port. The eighth risk is there is error in cargo handling and storage. The cause might come from system failure and poor maintenance, and the cause can cause insufficient cargo storage. And the last risk for Singapore Port is changes of rules and regulation. The causes might come from the change of the government, and the effects is the port need time to get used to the new rules and the regulation. So now, let's move on to the risk assessment that have been done towards Captain Phillips. So as for the first risk, is bad communication between pirates and hostage. The causes might come from miscommunication, and also there is no undelivered message. The effects, it might cause fights among them, and also can tense the situation. As for the second risk, is pirates invasion. The causes are the crew members did not have proper situational training if hijacking happened, the crewmate did not have licensed weapon for emergency, and lack of security. The effects are it can put the members on board in danger and can risk their life. As for the third risk is engine failure. The causes might come from the engine did not have proper maintenance, and also the second is there is no regular engine inspection. The effects are the engine may blow up and give major damage to the ship, and the engine can be broken and overheat, which is at the end of the day it can affect the journey, the members on board. As for the fourth risk is run out of fuel or diesel. The causes are because did not have extra fuel for emergency, or the speeding ship to run away from pirates. The effects are lack of mobility and cannot go to the nearest station, and the pirate can easily take over the ship. And last risk for Captain Philip is loss of life and injuries. The causes are the members not have proper training to defend themselves and guideline what to do, and also late response from the rescue team. The effects are the injuries might occur, and the crewmates and the captain may be killed.
So for the risk matrix, during risk assessment, a risk matrix is used. This risk matrix is to define the level of risk. This is considering the category of probability or likelihood against the consequences severity. We have identified the risk toward Singapore Port and Captain Phillips. We have evaluated all the risks associated with the Port of Singapore and Captain Phillips. After we have done evaluated it, all the risks are categorized in the above risk matrix. For example, the risk of port at the risk of fire at port and loss of injuries is located at the red color. This indicates the level of risk is high. For the risk of error cargo handling and storage, the impact and probability are low. Thus, it located at the green color, and this indicates the level of risk is low.
We found several recommendations to the risk assessment. For me, I will explain in details on the risk retention and risk avoidance. Okay, firstly for me, in this slide we are going through risk retention. Risk retention is an individual or organization's decision to take responsibility for a particular risk it faces, as opposed to transferring the risk over to an insurance company by purchasing insurance. That means the individual or organization has chosen to pay for any losses out of their pocket rather than purchase insurance as a means of transferring the financial burden of a loss to a third party. Companies often retain risk when they believe that the cost of doing so is less than the cost of fully or partially insuring against it. Shoplifting losses are one example of risk that many companies choose to retain instead of purchasing or claiming on their crime insurance policy. Another reason companies may choose to retain a risk is when it is not insurable or falls below their policy deductible. In this case, it is referred to as forced retention. Insurance companies also have to make a decision about which risk to retain. Risks they choose not to retain are transferred out via a reinsurance policy. So, in this case, for the Singapore port, the company willingly to pay using their own money to repair or maintenance the machineries because they feel it is more easier for them to resolve the problem quickly. As insurance, as you know, that they will take some procedures to claim. When it done on short period time, the port will run as usual. Similarly, for Captain Phillips, the ship willing to take risks if they are being chased by pirates by running away without waiting for the rescue team, as it may be take a lot of time for the rescue team to arrive. They knew if they got caught by pirates, they will be in big trouble, but they also need to do something to save themselves.
In these slides, I will explain about risk reduction. Risk reduction is a risk management technique that involves reducing the severity of loss and reducing the loss frequency. First, improve the operation system of port. Second, conduct regular inspections on machinery imports. Third, ensure all works, equipment, and machinery protects against overheating and catching fire. In these slides, I will explain about risk transfer. Risk transfer is a method of risk financing to transfer the risk to a third party. The most common example of risk transfer is purchasing insurance.
I will tell about the risk avoidance. Risk is avoided when the organization refuses to accept it. The exposure is not permitted to come into existence. This is accomplished by simply not engaging in the action that give rise to risk. If you do not want to risk losing your savings in a hazardous venture, then pick one where there is less risk. If you want to avoid the risks associated with the ownership of property, do not purchase property but lease or rent instead. If the use of a particular product is hazardous, then do not manufacture or sell it. This is a negative rather than a positive technique. It is sometimes an unsatisfactory approach to dealing with many risks. If risk avoidance were used extensively, the business would be deprived of many opportunities for profit and probably would not be able to achieve its objective. We can see in Singapore port where if you want to avoid a big risk like fire at port, you need to do regularly a proper inspection or maintenance to the all electrical circuit at the port. This action is important to always know the condition of electrical that the port using every day. In particular, bad weather is a big reason to any operation to stop for a while. For safety to all people at the port and also to the ship around, the port need to close its operation for a while to avoid any accident happen at the port. In spite of Captain Phillips, all crewmates on the ship need to have a guideline to them when in emergency situation. They need to be trained and have an emergency rehearsal before the ship departed from the dock. At any rate, they have a chance to avoid injuries from occur on the ship rather than lose everything including their life. That's all for me. Thank you, madam.
To conclude the whole assignment, Captain Phillips and Singapore Port taught us that a lot of safety precautions need to be taken and preparation need to be done properly. When we are on board or dealing with traffic maritime, Always look at the small detail and prepare for the worst. The risk can give a huge impact that will cause loss of billion or even lead to severe death. The whole incident of Captain Phillips and the operation of Singapore Port shows us the importance of marine insurance. With marine insurance, we can prepare for any risk that might occur on the future, identify and evaluate each of them, and we may come out with the most suitable solution. Other than that, all the stakeholders involved play an important role to ensure the execution can be done properly. For example, the government must impose laws and policies that will give benefit towards maritime society. The maritime industry needs to follow all the guidelines and standard operational procedures to prevent any cause from happen. The maritime companies must give full cooperation to the government so that the execution of policies will be smooth. We as the student recommend that the cargo owner to take insurance to ensure there is no loss to them and they could make claim if the incident happen. The ship also needs to follow the schedule that have been planned to ensure the cargo to arrive based on schedule. And this conclude the whole assignment about Singapore Port and also about the Captain Phillips.